So here I am in the kitchen in Abersoch and really wondering who's going to be in the kitchen with me. So for the first time I'm actually converting my little room into something that I can do Pilates in. If the weather had been lovely, I may have tried to be outside, but actually the weather's shocking here. So Susan, there's no beach in sight because we'd be blown off it. Good morning Susan and Lorna from my echoey kitchen by the sounds of it. And who we've got here? Jackie as well, fantastic. Many people are obviously really excited we're going to open at the studio, but we have 2 weeks and I'm hoping to fulfil some kind of routine programme. The reason I'm still in Abersoch is Wales took so long to open that we've suddenly got so much to do. Anyway, it's a good morning to Donna as well. So we arrived in Abersoch on Monday only to find the massively overgrown 4 months worth of garden, along with spiders and creepy crawlers in the house. Good morning Leslie and Ken, you're all getting in here, and Michelle with a new haircut, and Carol, fantastic that we're in the room, and Sarah Butler. Tom's on his way back to Manchester, Sarah, so I expect him. Tom's had to go back and work on payroll. I was meant to be back, but we've just too much to do, so I'm going to work with you people in a wonderful way. And good morning Janine. And then I'm going to get on with continuing jet washing and the rest. So it's a shame I'm not on the beach here, isn't it? But I'm not. I'm here in the kitchen at Abersoch. Fortunately, I brought the odd light with me, like you do, from the studio, along with a lot of recording stuff. Hopefully you're up for a great workout. Emily, fantastic to see you too. And Patricia. You know what? I thought maybe people don't want this anymore, but I guess I'm wrong. The workout today, I've called it Freestyle Pilates, and freestyle is what it will be. I'd be lying if I'd said I have worked tirelessly over a kind of routine for you. I've done something that makes complete sense, and so that's what we're doing this morning. Just looking at the screen. Diane, fantastic, you're in the room. I suspect we'll finish this race together. Many of you, and this is wonderful, Tom included actually, have done Pilates every day and taken up the challenge of that 20-day moment. Good morning, Linda, too. So the 20 video moment, a lot of you are working your way through it. Remember, little rule, only do the videos that make sense to you. So even if you do 20 by repeating the same video a few times because it does something to your body, then that's a rule to go by. The workout today, as I've said, is freestyle. It's going to be me doing Pilates in a way that makes sense today. And I think my Zoom session is just a heads up for you doing Zoom with us. The Zoom will be me asking you, what would you like me to go over? How would you like this session to be? So rather than me throwing a workout at you, because you're used to lots of the workouts, it'll be come to that session and have a request, and I'll make sure that I punctually put that into a little program there and then. Anyway, without further ado, I think those that are going to come into the room are in the room. This is my room. We're going to start standing, and officially I'm going to go to the bar. You don't have to have your chair. I have a chair, perfect height, wonderful. And feet are parallel, everything's relaxed. Reach the crown of the head to the ceiling. And are you ready for your, guess what? Yes, squats. Take the squat into position and return. So taking the hips backwards and pulling the hips forwards. Hinging and standing. Use your breathing as you've learnt to do, and make the breathing deep and relevant to the type of move. So it's a big move, a squat, so your breathing really should be quite big. Inhaling and exhaling. This time of day, normally, I'm doing the coastal walk. Even if it's raining, I just get myself out there walking the hills around the coastline towards Kellyette, for those that know the area. Anyway, right now we're squatting and finding our form, finding our breath. Keep breathing. And as the squat kind of wakes up your leg muscles, wakes up the sense of where the ground is underneath you and your alignment. Remember, squats, you don't have to have permission from me to use a roller for your squats. I think most of you understood how genius that moment is with the roller. Whichever way though, we're going to do about another 10 of these. And this should feel really easy because most of you have been doing an incredible amount of homework, to the point where I thought I'd come to your classes and take lessons from you. All right, let's go for 3 more. 2 more. and I can already feel the hamstrings and glutes getting involved in my positioning. We'll stay down on this last one. Put your hands on your thighs, it's always good practice for your first daily squats. Ready for your rolling down. We're going to go head to rib cage roll down. So breath out, forwards bend the ribs, shrink the tummy. Don't make the lower back out, big breath into there. But then breathing out, you can tuck your bottom under to roll the spine and find yourself back to stand. All right, back to your squats again. Find a squat shape. We're going to do 5 and stay down there. Remember the chin nods in, the crown of the head reaches away from the neck, the upper back muscles are tight behind you. Go down and stay. Staying down here then, put your hands on your thighs. You've got your end range connection. This is where we get the flexors to deepen. We refuse to let the knees roll in. We keep the outside weight to the outside of the feet. And the inhaling and exhaling feels very, very deliberate. If you want to allow your arms to start to float, so that gentle rhythmical response from the body, and there should be no twisting at this point, and I don't expect any of you to be twisting because you're such great students now. I cannot wait to see you on the reformers. All right, we're breathing deeply, inhaling and exhaling, and inhaling and exhaling. As you keep this going, everything from the back of the thigh, glutes, hamstring area starts to become involved, but your abdominal area is also taking the load against gravity frontal. So you've got from heel to back of the hip bone and from front hip bone to rib cage. And that's your choice here. This is a place where a lot of people end up using their back because they're not core connecting and keeping their breath and their Pilates sense. Okay people, and stay down, big breath in. You're ready for your roll down again, big breath. Exhale, you'll pull your chin to your throat. This time we're going to allow the spine to flow down with the breath out. Your head's hanging, your heels are into the ground. Ready for your pressing of your legs straight and bend. Exhale, the legs lengthen and bend. And again, I remind you, you have to be keeping the back of the pelvis flat. I'll change my profile for you. So the back of the pelvis stays flat, and it's the hamstring length that determines whether your legs straighten or don't. It's not about the legs straightening, it's about you getting an active stretch in what we call the hamstrings. If you tuck your bottom under, you bypass where the hamstring connects, and actually you're putting strain into the sacral lumbar area. Okay people, and keep the legs bent. Place the hands back onto your thighs. Exhale to tuck your bottom under and return the rolling spine all the way back up. I'm going to use the chair for tiptoe ankle rolls next. Breathing out, core connect. We've enlivened everything in terms of the trunk stabilisers and your global stabilisers through the thighs. I've got a hair in my mouth. Forgive me. Keep going. So as you're rolling up and down. Now pay attention to your shoulders. So when we do the ankle roll, there should be a sense of length through the upper back, length through the back of the neck, and your feet are kind of just slightly wider than close together, wide enough to know that your knees don't touch each other. So we're not legs tight as one leg, we're parallel leg positionings. Getting the ankles rolling up and down. We've already understood that the more you want to walk and be very active naturally, the more you need these ankle activity movements, okay? Inhaling and exhaling. Keep this going. The next time you find yourself on tiptoes, you can stay and we'll do our flat back squats. Staying upright, exhale, your back stays straight and down you go and up you come. The reason we hold on is because it makes sure that actually our knees and our pelvis get the feedback they need to be more accurately level. As you're going down and up. Use your breathing, get the sense of length. Inhaling, there's nothing fancy about this, it's called keep the basics, keep the basics, keep the basics. And all of these basics will lead you to a brilliant continuation in your Pilates. Next time you come down into that flat back squat, stay. Now you've got the chance to pelvic tilt, but first of all, exhale the ribs down, and then exhale to pelvic tilt. That means pubis, tips, hip bones roll, inhale and back. Breathing out, and back. Now if you check down at your thigh bones, as you know you should, you're looking for tram lines that the knee joint ends at just the right place. Breathe out, pelvic floor, navel to spine. Know the difference between bum squeezing, not appropriate, and pelvic floor contracting. We've got another 4 of these. And 3. And 2. As you wake up and mobilise the lower back in favour of stabilising through the core. Next time, leave yourself back into neutral. Hang in here, we're in neutral spine. So you're not tucked under, remember? People like Diane in your new leggings, don't be tucked under. As we go down and up, I hope you've all bought new kit ready for starting back. Get yourself some sweaty Betty gear is what I hear. You're breathing in and out. The pelvis staying true, spinal neutral alignment. And again, now it's end range around the knee joint, so you're strengthening the muscle that goes over the knee. And I've chosen it to be a little bit kind of more rhythmical here again, so rather than being stop-start, it's more kind of blurring the end range. Do another 4, and 3, and 2. Everything's light here, I'm just using the bar, and all the way to your tiptoes and lowering down. Let's put those 2 moves together. You go squat and tiptoes, flat back squat, and heels down. Squat, standing roll tiptoes, flat back squat, and tiptoes and down. Squat, tiptoes, flat back squat, roll down through your ankle. It's as concise as that, so differentiate the different movements around the ankle joint and the pelvis and flow from the bend to the extend, to ankle movement and rolling. Down into your squat, up into your tiptoes, into your flat back squat, adding the knee connections, and squatting. 2 more full sequences, tiptoes, and flat back squat, and roll down. Squat, final time, tiptoes, flat back squat, and down. Take it to turn out. So in turn out, find your legs. Again, the legs, because of the way we're designed, just because you might have a parallel squat, doesn't mean you have it parallel. Just because you have a squat that's great parallel, doesn't mean that the turnouts are necessarily going to be the same. So you have to pay attention to what's going on in your posture. All of the rotators, thigh bone to pelvis, need to get reorganised. These are the first rotations we've done today. So I'm making sense of my pelvis. Remember that sometimes to reach your arms backwards, somehow, for a lot of people, helps the trunk, therefore the pelvis, stay true. As you're going down and pushing the ground away, the notation of being in towards the little toe on the outside of the foot will help cue a lot of people. So it's a deep heel. If you're in sand, you push sand away with your heels, but then the little toe is the next point of connection. Inhaling, and down you go. We'll go down to stay, just as we did in the previous one. So here, staying down and creating the spring. Sometimes to cue the area from rib cage to belly button, keep the hip flexion, breathing deeply in and out. Sometimes that really helps. It makes more sense of what's going on in the side bottom and the trunk. Keep this going. You're pushing and pulling the ground to you. Think of it as that. Pull it down to you, push it away from you. Pulling the ground down and up without dragging into your feet, as in the front of the foot. Keep it outside of the foot and heels. 4 more. and stay. From here then, hands on the thighs. We're still going to do the roll down from chin to mid-ribs. Breath out to pull your chin to your chest. Bend your rib cage. Looking for those beautifully symmetrical thighs, and down you go. Once you're down here, same thinking, stretch out the legs. We did this in parallel. The front of your foot is still not too loaded. It's all outsides of the feet, the little toe. Keep your hands on the ground. Pick up your arches. Pull up on your pelvic floor. And 3 more. Breathing 2 more. Remember, your back stays flattened, sacrum to lumbar. The next time your legs bend, keep them bent. Put the hands to the outside of the thighs. Tuck your bottom under to reverse the spine all the way back up. And you're ready for your standing using the bar. So find the chair. You should still be close to it. Move the hair out of your face, which is what always happens. Bend the legs. Exhaling, pick up to tiptoes. Inhale and push down. So you've got it's a little bit of a synchronized move. You've got a slight dip into it. I'm not making it big, and I'm more concerned with this moment here when you push the ground, heel to ground. Imagine you pull the ground away, then push the ground with your heels. So I'm pressing to the ground as I pull my inner thighs together. Get this sense of pulling through the inner thigh. The next time you find this position here, stay. Now, can you lift and lower without your heels parting company? Lifting, pulling the heels together and lowering. The hand on the bar is obviously light as you lift and lower. If your feet are too open, then make them narrow. Remember, we rarely go beyond 10-2 or 10 past the hour. Some of us 5-2, 5 past. Because it's not about where your feet are, it's about where your femur, your thigh bones are. Whichever way, you want to keep your heels connected. Now, as you keep doing this, the way I'm describing it, I'm using my inner thighs and my inner heel area, arches, pelvic floor. The muscles that lead up into your seat area, the back of the pelvis, the muscles that are at your inner thighs start to really wake up. Keep the breath going, keep the upper body aligned, and the sense of being relaxed on the upper body and toned and tensioned through the inner thighs, through to the pelvic floor. Stay at this time. So in this shape here, you then add your deep work through the knees. So take that down and back up. Now, the moment you do these flat back pliés, turn out, you have to notice whether or not there's anything happening in the knee joint. If there is, the chances are you've tucked under. If there is, it may be that you have to put your heels down and go back to a more traditional turn-out squat. Whichever way, you can't have any part of the actual joint feeling pinchy, twingy, and we are all in that age group, most of us anyway, where wear and tear at the joints, the joints that move the most are your hips, knees and ankles. If you've got wear and tear going on there, then you must stay away from that pain. Okay, keep this going, using your breathing. Next time you're down, stay. So staying here, aware of your pelvis. Keep your heels squeezing, ready for your pelvic tilts. Exhaling, tilt the pubis forwards towards the screen or whichever direction you're facing and release. Exhale, shrinking. Inhale and release. Breathing out, I'm just watching the rain. In Abersoch, we live in a beautiful place, very privileged we come here to stay. But basically, keep this going while I tell you. There's a place called Minitho, which is up the hill, and some of our client friends live up the hill. And right now, you can't see up the hill. All you can see is the rain. All right, you can see it's called the mist, and it's totally misty out there. Keep the breath going. I don't care if you're dying, you're meant to be. Last two, shrinking all of that in. Last one, and then stay neutral. You're now going to go up, down, plie, squat properly, up, tiptoes, and down. Remember how we did this in parallel? It's exactly the same. So you're taking your body through the rhythm of ankles, flat back plie, end range through the muscles in the knee, into squat plie. squat, stand, tiptoes, flat back squat plie. Stand, squat, hinge, open the hips, stand tall, and flat back, and repeat. Remember, the hold of the bar chair is to get a better symmetry, which trains the muscles to organise your joints to stay equally aligned. All right, this should start for quite a pleasant routine, I think, but now I'm a bit weird. Up we go, flat back squat, tiptoes. The secret here with this little sequence is that you finish off each part of the sequence. There's no kind of blurring. It's up, it's flat back, it's up, it's lowering. It's squat, it's stand, it's reach, squat, stand tall, lower. And 2 more sequences, tiptoes. Out we go, wide, up we go, down we go, finish off here, and well done. Okay, so we're going to leave that alone and come to the floor. If you start seated on your mat and sit up as tall as you can. Keep the breath going, so your core connect through your breathing, inhaling and exhaling. Get your back as lengthened and straight as you can, and then keep your arms forwards. Breath out now, shrink the abdomen in, and stretch out your back by pulling the belly, abdomen, navel to the spine, and stay here and breathe, inhaling and exhaling, inhaling and exhaling. Now on the next breath in, open your arms and sit tall, and breathe out. Drive the flexion of the spine into a bend. Inhale, pull your shoulder blades together and give a squeeze of the scapula. Exhale, forwards bend. Inhale, big reach, range. Get this going. Let's chase away all the jobs we've been doing this weekend. You've got 2 more of the seated forwards bend of the rib cage part of the spine, and sitting up tall, postural muscles of the upper back. Last time, upper back squeezers, and then have your hands here. With hands here then, breathe out and roll off your seat bones. Keep your hands to the back of the hamstring. Breathe in, breathe out, and roll back up to seated. Upper back working as you sit up. Exhale, pelvic floor, navel, spine, backwards roll off your pelvis. Breathe, and up you come. And sit tall, breathe in. The feel for everything from the front of the hip bone to the rib cage shortening is what you're trying to achieve as you help recalibrate and resist twist. So you're recalibrating symmetry. Now I think we're ready to flow all the way down. So are you ready for full rolling down from forwards bend? Breathing out, you'll stay forwards bent as you lay the spine to where you're comfortable to go. Big breath in, and breathing out, up your roll again. Inhale at the top, exhaling, down your roll, pubic bone tilts, imprinting, exhale. If you want to hold on to the back of the thighs to get yourself back up, you can. I did 7 hours of jet washing yesterday, courtesy of borrowing a machine. And trust me, oh, my upper back, it doesn't want my abdominals to bend it to that degree. Breathe. There's nothing wrong with a bit of a pull, as long as the breath is guiding you and it's not into your back. One more. So, I use the fake to get back up, but it's a benefit because it stayed in my abs. My upper back's quite tight. We're going to take you to a little bit of side bending, not side bending, rotation. So if you take ourselves to here, both knees are level. Now remember how I did this, you can have your hands here. If you pull them in to the below the breast height, that should work your abdominal oblique more. Exhale and breathe in. Now breathe out and pull them to one side of the armpit, breathe in and centre, other side. Inhale and centre. We wake up the rotational muscles. Remember, rotation
is rib cage, shoulder. Think of your shoulders doing the rotation. Do not think of your pelvis or your waist. It's your shoulder area. If you do the technique I'm showing you here, the hands on top of each other, pulling into a centered point to the kind of, on a female, just below the breast area, on a male, think side of the pec here. All right, once more. And then from there, stretch your legs out and lay your spine down. With your legs straight, hands behind the head, have a curl up to where your feet are, and then here we start, the abdominal curls. Exhale, and breathe in. My legs are really energised. They've got a load of energy going on as I get my rib cage and my internal external obliques to curl and uncurl. You've got 4 more here. By keeping your legs full of energy, you're making sure that your pelvis is a true neutral, that therefore this part, as you curl and uncurl, has to truly work. People, the next time you curl, stay and slide your right leg till it's bent. Left leg really energised, but now off the floor, and breathe out. I'm going to curl over towards the bent leg. My left leg is hovering the ground. The higher up your left leg is, the more load you'll require of the abs. And ideally, you just want that placed on you where you know it's a challenge, but this whole front between the hip bones, the navel to the spine area is working. Just do me one more. Slide that leg, straighten out the other leg and repeat. Always breath out. And immediately there should be a sense of one side just feeling easier. So my right hand side is always a flow. So your leg is full of energy. Your rib cage rolling. It is possible actually to have one arm reaching to the bent leg if that allows you more activation than not. People, you've got 2 more and we're done with this. And 1 more. Pull both legs in and place your head on the ground. With your head on the ground, you've now got the heels onto the bottom. I hope you can see me clearly. Anyway, we're ready for hip rolls. Exhaling then, press through your heels, pull your thighs tight together and roll. Pelvic floor tilts you and you go up. Have a breath in just here. Exhaling, pull the thighs tight together and take the spinal shape down. Breathe in, you're in neutral. Breathe out. Pelvic floor, oblique connect. Up you go. Stay, breathe in, pull your inner thighs tight together. And breathing out, return your spine shape back to the floor. Inhaling at the base. Exhaling. Up your roll. Breathe in just here. Shrink and hollow this mid area. Remember it's pelvic floor, navel to spine. And last 2. And last 1 to stay. Stay in here. Pull your inner thighs tight together and pick up to tiptoes. Exhale. Up you go to tiptoes. Inhale and down. All the while keeping the pelvic tilt. Inner thighs tight together. Keep it. Last 2. Deep inner thigh work. Last 1. And as your heels stay up this time, take your spine down and take the pelvis to imprint. Moving on, you're going to come with the knees up into tabletop. I'm just going to change my position a bit further forward to give you a better view. So exhaling, 1 leg, 2 legs, I'm in an imprint of my lower back. You've got your 90-degree angle going on at the hip and the knee. Hands are reaching, holding on the back of the thighs. Breathe out to curl. And I'm staying curled as I extend and bend. Exhale. And push. Because we've been doing so much of this, this should become really quite natural, and the feel for all of the right things happening. There's nothing going on in my lower back, it's lovely and flat against the floor. I'm aware of my inner thighs pulling together, and if I weren't talking, I'd be breathing. Keep this going. 4 more. 3. And 2. And 1. Keep your legs up in the air. Have your arms by your side. Stay in that position of 90 degrees at the hip. You're in a gentle imprint. Exhaling slowly over to about 10 past the hour or 10 to the hour. And then inhale, exhale, everything back to 12 o'clock. So you've got your slight hip roll. Remember, hip rolls require both knees, thighs to stay locked together through the inner thigh, the adductor, and it's the pelvis that gives you that gentle rotation. You pivot, you only rotate to the place where you're on the side of the sacrum. And it's not massively aggressive, it feels pleasant. And if you're being a good student, you'd be noticing whether or not you actually twist anywhere, or whether the whole of the thigh bone to foot moves in sequence with the pelvis. Just do once more each side. The best breath is that the exhale gives you the sense of pulling back to the centre. So whether you've been doing a full breath, but the exhale pulls you back to the centre. You're now ready for your single leg stretch, to take the one leg up in the air, reach the other leg long, and exhale, curl. My glasses are so steamed up I can't see a thing, including my legs. So inhaling, exhale, inhale, big reaches, remember, exhaling. Sniff, sniff, and push. As long as your abdominals follow a rhythm of breath, that the biggest part of this move is the exhale exchange, the inhale is the hold, and the exhale is the exchange. The hold is a reach rather than suddenly just being still. Both legs, one reaching up, one reaching along. Once more each side. Okay, and pull the knees into the chest. You're going to come onto your side now, and we're going to do side lying twice, I just need to check the time. You're going to do it a couple of times and we'll build it up. Straightforward side lying initially, get a chance to get your alignment on the mat. Straight into double leg lifts. I know you've all been doing the videos, so there's little need for me to go through the real basic position. Side lying is a basic shape in Pilates. So exhale, pelvic floor nails spine, and the legs lift and they lower. Breathing out, up they go, and down they go. And again, 1 and 2. Let's do 3 more here. The rules are, pelvic is neutral, pelvis neutral. Waist off the floor on the side you're lying, so the underneath side is off. And stay. In this position here then, take the top leg up, the underneath leg is off the floor, and squeeze both together. We're encouraging now your inner thigh of the underneath leg to work harder. I'm not quite losing my side waist position here. My top leg is slightly higher than my hip, and my underneath leg is feeling the adductors, the inner thighs. Now, if you do this as I'm demonstrating it, you will get a lot of adductor work, and it should feel really quite nice. Again, you could have your hand here, that's a modification. What matters is that this pattern of movement goes straight to the inner thigh on the lower leg that's doing the lifting up and closure, and the outer thigh, which is the upper leg holding shape, working really through the side of your abductor. Do me 2 more. Do 1 more. And then pull the knees in. Pull yourself up. You're going to come to kneeling. Use the lines on your mat for this. I've got lines on this mat. It's a very old mat that we've always had. Thigh bones parallel. You're going straight into backwards lean before we do some more sides. So open through your shoulders, collarbones. Hip bones, you've got to get the connection through pubic bone, pelvic floor. And then you'll do your backwards lean and return. Leaning and returning. Keep the breath and the trunk connection. The movement here gives you flexors stretching and lengthening happening through the muscle that makes up an integral part of the knee joint actually. We're aiming deep, so as you go back and forth, you're wanting the muscle that goes over the hip and the knee, rectus femoris, to give you a little bit more range. The last couple, it's very, very simple. And from there then, you're going to take, if you're facing the screen, your leg out. It actually won't matter if it's the other leg, because I'm going to do both sides anyway. If you take your leg out, remember the rules here. The rules are that you keep this hinge position here of 90 degrees. We're back to some leg lifts. So, keep your knee pointing forwards. We're not in turnout. I've used the lines on the mat. I'm along the back line. And all that's going on now is, instead of doing this on our side line series, I've chosen it up here. It requires more trunk stability. In this position here, therefore, you're not thinking of the leg so much as your trunk in its side shape. Next time your leg's up, leave it up. Now you're going to do the circling. You keep the pelvis absolutely stable. The cueing obviously is pelvic floor, navel to spine. And that trunk stabilises you at the hip. The kneeling leg, hip, is working, as is the circling leg, hip, working. All right, change direction of that circle. Flex at your ankle. Now taking the circle the other way around. The hardest place on the circle, I believe, is the upwards and over. So use your breath out. Rather than thinking leg, think trunk. If this is horrible for you, just hold your shape as a stretch and do some kind of side bend position. And if it's just not appropriate, don't do it. I'm going to do 1 more here and we're done. So here we go, 1 more and we're done. Take your shape into your child pose, relaxing everything back, losing any tension that may have occurred in the body. And then you're going to your other side for side series. So we've switched over, you now should be facing the other direction. And you're ready, are you? Hips are stacked, one on top of the other. Making sure I can see my feet. I've used my mat as a line up and I'm going to go. Legs up. First lift is the lift you need to check out. I make sure my feet are level as I lower down. It's small. Remember, it's not about your legs, this is about your obliques. If you can do the little add-on gesture with the ankles, either pointing and flexing, it really doesn't matter whether you point on the way up or flex on the way up. The only thing I would say is flexing on the journey up, because that's the hardest moment, often gives you more connection. And depending on your posture type, that might be beneficial. So sway backs definitely. I would flex continuously. Any bendy wendies in the room? People like Diane. Actually, Susan, I would flex definitely. No pointy toes from you people with fallen arches. All right, people, stay up. Remember this. The top leg lifts and then underneath leg. And okay, you're pulling up on pelvic floor and inner thigh. I'm saying that the waist on the side you're lying isn't working uber hard. So the waist on the side you're lying is gently away from the mat, just as it was in the previous activity. And now your inner thighs are working hard. The underneath leg pulls up, the top leg stays static contraction through the abductors, so the outside of the leg here feels what's going on. My hand here, as you can see, is just light, but often that light touch gives you that incremental shift of better connection, so you get more reorganisation through the pelvis. You've got 4 more, and 3 more, and last one, after this one. Can't count, can I? Nothing's changed. Breathe and pull your legs in. Back up to kneeling then. Line yourself up. This is for the other side of your kneeling position, so we take the leg out, other side, leg out and hand down. So opposites to what you had last time, same principles of setup obviously, everything hinged and hair out of face, Ken. Once you're there, breathing deeply in and out, the leg will lift and lower. The underneath waist working, pelvis absolutely neutral and resisting twist. If you're pointed for the first few, then by all means flex for some. The load isn't really through your arm, people. The arm is just a position of connection like we use for the ballet bar chair. Alright, 2 more. You should get all of the abductor working, and then we start our circles. The circling, so this side on me feels tighter, your circle can reduce. It doesn't matter, it's more that it's a circle. That it stays in the right place. That you don't collapse at the thigh bone hip connection. Alright, 2 more. 1 more, and we change direction. Go back the way you came, up and over. If you want to have a look at whether or not you're drawing circles, have a look. Some of you might be drawing squares, stars, or hexagons. It doesn't matter. And remember, it's about the thigh working within a pelvis that's been stabilised, which is the purpose of your move. 3. I can see my hip moving. 2. 1. Yep, that was enough for me as well. And leave that be. Come straight to all 4. So I'm using the mat, front to edge of the mat is my alignment. My knees are level. Toes tuck under. We're going to do some knee hovers here. So breath out, shrink the tummy in, bend your rib cage to look at your thigh bones, and then hover your knees up. Take them all the way up into your pyramid, and then press your heels down to get your stretch into your calf. Keep pushing your heels down, ribs to hips, navel to spine, and then pick up to tiptoes and bend the rib cage and bend the knees to lower the knees down. You're now staying with the lift and lower of the thigh bones. It's your elephant version, isn't it, that we'll be doing back on the reformer. I keep my head looking at my thighs. I keep my rib cage bent to the belly button, but my lower back isn't bent. You know this move? 4 more. You must breathe. 3 more. Find your armpits. 2 more. And then lower your knees down and find yourself back to all 4s. Ready for your stretch? Take your left leg out. Because I'm using my edge of mat, I've got my left leg lined one edge of the mat, my knee the other. I'm in my true all 4s, as you can see here from the screen. And you've got your stretch. So the elbows bend as your hips sit backwards, getting an adductor stretch. So everything here in the thigh. Now, in theory, your pelvis shouldn't move, as in it shouldn't twist. It should move, obviously, because your thigh is hinging at the hip on the kneeling leg side, as well as the abducted side. So exhale. If your elbows bend, your hips will bend. If you keep your trunk stability, your trunk will remain as a single unit. As you move in and out of this stretch, which is an incredible adductor, inner thigh stretch. If you're not getting your inner thighs, it's not that you're amazing, it's that something's gone wrong with your shape. Okay? And I suspect you've tucked under twisted and shifted. Last one. And pulling everything back together. Make sure the mat is level, make sure you're level. Shoulders over wrists, other side. Lined up heel, lined up chest. Knee pointing forwards in the direction of my screen as I go down. You bend your elbows first, and that leads you to bend at the hip, flex the hip. That's where the thigh inserts into the pelvis. You know it's right because immediately, straight through this whole adductor line here, you get your stretch. A kind of crucial stretch for hip health and for everything down towards your knee. And it's possible, if you're really understanding the move, to notice the little idiosyncratic twists that we make. And you get the chance to chase them away by thinking through your mind-body connect. Do me 2 more like this, I think. And let that go. So from that position there, you're going to come back into hands and knees and onto your tummy. So you change your position on the mat to make sure that I just moved grass that Tom put on the mat. Make sure that you're lined up. So we're ready for our swim and our swan. We'll start with the swan. Put your hands, I use either side of the mat. I'm off it because it's quite a narrow mat. Hands are under the shoulder-ish area. Fingers and hands are spread, as are your feet and your ankles. In this position, I'm just going to take my glass off because I can't cope anymore with steamed up spectacles. My legs are long and reaching, and I want your thighs to know where they are in terms of inner thighs connected together. On the next breath in, I've suddenly got a cramp into my feet and having asked for that, so I'm just going to tuck my toes under my feet. On the next inhale, push your nose forwards and not beyond the end of your mat, lifting only to the last rib. And then exhale, down you go. Inhaling, the pubic bone is dominant, nose forwards, cleavage, chest, pecs forwards. Exhaling and down you go. Inhale. Imagine your nose, as you come to lift, is going to roll a marble across the mat. And you watch it roll, and you imagine it coming back. Inhaling, send that marble with a flick of the nose. Exhaling, and pull it back. Inhale, and last time. So you're waking up the correct process for extending of the spine. And you're now going to stay with a long spine. With the hand position then, exhaling, float your arms off, and inhale, pull them back down. You can, on this activity, have your thumbs to the ceiling or the hands flat, whichever way. What you can't have is your elbows higher than your wrists. What you do want is your upper back muscles working hard to pull your arms up. Think of the upper back between the shoulder blades as you lift on the breath out and lower. Abdominally, you've got your pubic bone dominant and your abdominals tight in, navel to spine. The rib cage is enforcing itself against your mat. People, the next time, you're going to take your hands by your sides and then exhale, squeeze the hands and thighs together, hands against the sides of the thighs. Inhale, relax off a bit. Exhaling, it's dart. Inhale, palms face the ceiling, palms and thighs tight. Inhaling, pubic bone is dominant. Legs aren't lifting so much as drawing tight in, and your shoulder blades are staying activated as they make the upper back straighter. Nothing in the lower back working. You 4 more. And breathing, 3 more. Shoulder blade. Breathing, 2 more. And last one. And then reach your arms away. With your arms reaching away, stretch as big as you can and make your body as long as it is possible to be from tiptoes to fingertips. Then exhaling, shrink the tongue, Pubic bone dominant. Slide your hands under you as you come back up. Breathe in and exhale. Slide them back. Inhale. Exhale. Pull the ground under. Get this extension. Legs are long and reaching. Lumbar spine does nothing. Last time. Pulling up. Hold. Breathe. Shoulders away from the neck. Can you slide one hand then the other and hold your form? Keep the legs long and reaching. If you want to push further then, you end up in your extension. Collarbones are wide, shoulders away from the neck. And then bending at your elbows. Down you go. Hands under the chest. And back into child pose. Okay, people. I do believe that's all we have time for today. And I also do believe that even though I set a timer to tell me to finish in 40 minutes, it hasn't gone off. So apologies if you had to rush off somewhere. I did more than 30 minutes. Whichever way, thank you for joining me. And wonderful to be back doing our Pilates together. I'll see you again here tomorrow. And I promise you, if it does end up sunny, I might try and do it outside. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed freestyle, making sense of the body whilst doing Pilates in real time for real people. Take care, stay well, and buy new leggings.